What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the We Got Y'all podcast. It's your girl Ray P back for another one. Right as usual, I'll start there. And of course, I am not here alone. I am here with my very own Doubting Thomas. Kieron, aka K Rich.
uh,
Yeah, the man who didn't believe me when I told y'all for the last 3 weeks that Famous was dead. So,
I'm just all right.
what's
First
going
and
on,
foremost,
Rich?
not much. First and foremost, uh, as we always say, Rachel and myself don't really talk about the episodes before
Uh-huh.
recording. Everything's fresh. But we were exchanging a couple voice notes yesterday, and I just told her like, "You're right." She hadn't watched the episode yet, and
Hmm.
I just told her, "You be knowing," because that's a common theme around here. Rachel be knowing, and she was right. And I want to talk about it here. Obviously, we'll talk about it this episode, but I want to ask you a specific question.
Hmm.
But before we do, shout out to everyone out there for
Yes.
listening, watching, tuning in. Thank you for supporting us and
Yes.
everything that we do. Obviously, we're covering Raising Kanan, season 4, episode 5. There will be spoilers and explicit content, and it is streaming on Stars. Um, I do want to shout out Lynn Vins. I believe that was Lynn
Living
Vins.
in.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Lynn Vins 242 on YouTube. They commented last week and then left another comment just saying
Yes. What's going
newer
on?
subs. Yeah, absolutely, man. Newer subscriber, and I am enjoying your podcast and recaps immensely. Keep them coming with the thumbs up.
Thank you so
Can't,
much. Thank you
yeah,
so
really.
much.
That'll never get old. That'll never get old. We're happy that you're appreciating it and you're a part of this conversation as well as everyone else out there listening. Let's get into some stats on the episode and then we'll get right into it
Okay.
because yeah, I got questions for you, Rachel.
I
Um,
got answers.
episode
Clearly.
episode 5 is titled "The Nail That Sticks Up," directed by Sierra Shooter Glad, written by Brian Walker. Synopsis: Rock and Marvin navigate a dwindling supply of product while Lou and Imani scout artists together. Joyce's condition worsens, and Famous's mother desperately tries to find him. Rachel,
Yes.
before we get into opening thoughts, how did you know Famous was dead?
I came on to our feed calling myself Ray Stradamus. I just knew that Famous was dead last season. No, let me start here. In 50's monologue, when we find out that Famous is dead, he starts prefacing with what I can say Famous ain't built for it. He was never made for this life, essentially. And
Mm-hmm.
we knew that when we met Famous in season 1. However, he was enamored with the street life, shout out to he and Juke.
Mm-hmm.
So we learned that he's not about that life. We learned when it comes to the whole Freddie and the gun and the wilding that Famous is he's about maybe doing a little drugs and having fun and obviously doing some music. But when you press him with the police, with the Fed, with a body, somebody who is not a Thomas,
Yeah.
essentially, or a Stark or Unique, someone who is literally built in that lifestyle, born into that lifestyle, is not gonna have the same reaction. We know that Famous is scary. We knew when he got picked up before that he was scary. And shout out to Kanan and Howard getting him out. While we don't believe Fame to be a snitch, it's different when the pressure and the heat and the sentencing is on you. And we know you're not tough. We know you're not a fighter. We know you're not a killer. You don't want to be a snitch. You know how dangerous the Thomases are. Howsoever, what do you do when your back is against the wall? And it's literally my life or y'all's. It's a tough pill to swallow.
Very well said, per usual. I guess why everything you said is right, 100% spot on. But what made you immediately go with death versus on the run? What made you think he just wasn't out of here? Or did
Because
you even think that a little bit?
I didn't think that at all. Because the streets needed a body. That has been the undercurrent of this entire episode. You give the streets are give and take, but it's a whole lot of taking. Somebody does something, streets need a body. Somebody has to pay. We can't let this crime, quote unquote, go unanswered. We know that you have Freddie, I mean, you have Famous on this gun. The streets needed a body. The first person that Rock and Marvin killed that went to school with Famous and Kanan. The
Yeah, we talked
streets
about it
needed
last
a
week.
body. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So here we are. They need a body. Now, I came in here saying when we did episode 1, believing that Kanan killed Famous. I don't
I was,
think that.
yeah, I was about to ask you, do you want to save that for later in the episode, or
Yeah,
you want to talk
we
about
can
who,
say that.
or yeah, who we think that the killer is of
Yeah.
Famous? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll into opening thoughts then. What were your
Okay.
outside of the Famous of it all? That's obviously been a big question mark that we've had. We've been
Mhm.
asking that the past few episodes, and we finally got an answer. What were your opening thoughts on the episode as a whole?
Obviously, love this episode. The nail that sticks up. I was not only right about Famous, I was right about many things. I had a lot.
Lou and Imani.
Imani, yeah, I was right about that. I was right about Unique revealing himself, even if not to everybody. I was right about OC being in Unique's pocket.
Mm-hmm. You were right. You were right about a lot. That's why I hit you and told you. You be knowing.
I be knowing. I like this episode not just for my own ego satisfaction, but just for the answering of the questions that we had going into this season, essentially. In this episode, what's happening? What's everybody getting here? And we're seeing a story really, really come together. So I enjoyed it. What about you?
Same. One of my favorites of the season. I know we only had 5.
Hmm.
Maybe by the time this is all said and done, it might be top 3.
What do we get? 8?
We get 10.
10? Okay.
Yeah, so we're
We're
at
halfway
halftime.
through. Got
Yeah,
it.
we're at halftime. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the fact that they took a B-side character or a B character and gave him his own kind of proper send-off with
Yeah.
Famous.
Yeah.
We get some flashback things, and obviously a lot of that was from Mrs. Figueroa's perspective, from her point of view.
Shout out to Olga.
Oh, yeah, I wonder how much of that is going to come into play in the next few episodes, as far as like his upbringing with the domestic violence, or if they were just showing us the bond that they had as a family and all the things they grew up with. And we'll talk about 50's narration, I'm sure, and memories and all of that kind of good stuff. But another solid episode. I like that the pressure's kind of getting to Rock, and Rock's fed up with a lot of shit. I like that we're getting closer to the Unique thing. Like you said, he is revealing himself. I was screaming at the TV when Pernessa pulled up on Rock, because I'm waiting, and I said this last week, I'm waiting on that aha light bulb moment. Like, are we sure Unique is dead? Like, I'm waiting on someone to say, I know this sounds crazy,
Yeah.
but are we sure? Like, connect the dots. And every single excuse they have or reasoning they have makes sense, right?
Mhm.
Rock is like, listen, he could have done right by somebody else. They're looking out for you. That's not uncommon. Like, I don't know. It hasn't gotten to the point where somebody has to really sit down and like, yo, hold up. So I enjoyed it. I love how we're moving along, and I love that I have to put you into this equation as well. I had your voice in my head while watching this episode,
Okay.
because I've said that I didn't think, not for one, I didn't think Famous was dead. And for 2, I didn't think that Kanan did it.
Okay.
I honestly, as the opening of this episode went, I knew we were going to get some Famous answers. We were going to have a scene with Famous hiding out somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until, as soon as I saw that kid in the liquor store, this unknown kid, I'm like, all right, then this is something.
Yeah.
Starts running. These 2 random characters, something's about to be revealed. I say you were in my head because as I'm watching these scenes, I might have had a different perspective than what I normally would have had. For example, when Olga comes to see Kanan and Juke, I was looking at it as Kanan might be the killer, like, versus just thinking Kanan really is doing it. So it felt. I was thinking more of Bishop, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking Kanan feels like Bishop, and it wasn't until the end of the episode when I'm like, oh shit, Kanan didn't do this because as soon as the narration started and said what you want me to say, he deserved it, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
shit, this nigga did this. And
Yeah.
then he talked about being sad, which is an emotion that I don't think we've ever seen in the
Not at all.
original Power.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever saw. We saw some hesitation
Mm-hmm.
and confusion when it came to a showdown between him choosing between Juke and Tariq. But
Yeah.
we never seen sadness. This is the same person who killed an old woman and took over her
Mhm.
apartment
Yeah.
in the original Power. So I didn't expect that. I was expecting Kanan to do what needed to be done. And like I said, we'll talk later in the episode about who we think might have did it because there's only one real candidate, but I feel like the show was smarter than that. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
really curious about where that's going to go. We got a lot of information just to be at halftime. Rachel, where do you want to kick things off? What do you want to kick things off with?
Well, first I'm weak because all I thought about was when you said that Kanan reminded you of Bishop. All I can hear in my head is Raheem is dead. Somebody shot him.
Juke is
Silly.
dead.
Right.
Not Juke, excuse me, not Juke, but her famous is dead.
Fame is dead. Somebody shot him. Let's actually start with Juke since we said that. Look at that little Freudian slip. Since it was not a Juke heavy episode, so let's get her out of the way. So we see that she and Mara are out to lunch, and Mara believes that there was a home invasion at Aaron. We learned his name is Aaron at his home, and she straight up asked Juke, like, "I know this gonna sound crazy, but." Did you have anything to do with this? And shout out to Juke for being an actress. She responded the appropriate way, even the facial expression, the shock of what? Why would you think that I would have something to do with this? I didn't kill anybody. And she says, you asked me where he lived. And I'm like, yes, in case he grabbed you up again so that I could protect you, so that I would know where to look, this, that, and the third, or tell the police. Mara then settles her spirit because it does sound crazy to believe that this sweet little 19-ish year old girl that you just met, who seems very green, would actually go in and kill this big brolic ass ex-husband of yours. It does seem far-fetched. It does seem wild to ask. But when you understand who Juke actually is, what family she actually comes from, then it's not as far-fetched a question. It's not that out of reach. Because, bitch, did you do this? And the answer is yes. But as far as Mara is concerned, no. Even if she didn't believe Juke, her level of relief wouldn't allow her to question it any further.
Which is funny because I was going to ask you, what do you think happens if Juke says yeah? Knowing that it's a relief to her, knowing she hasn't slept that good in years, maybe there's still the shock of, wow, you're a killer, I can't be associated with you. Or I agree with Juke did the right thing and her response was perfect, like you said.
Yeah.
But what do you think about that?
I think it's just that, because bitch, you a fucking killer. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm about
Will
to
you
say,
kill
yeah.
me? Like, I don't know. Do I now have to go to the police and say that actually it wasn't a home invasion? It's this young lady I've been fake courting or befriending?
Do you think she
No.
finds out? Do you think she finds out at some point? That
Yes
pressure
and
on
no.
Rachel to be right. Say the pressure on Rachel
The
now.
pressure is on me to be right. So it depends. Honestly, it depends on where the story goes with Mara. I think that if she becomes a character of interest beyond the next couple of episodes, if we see she and Juke's relationship grow into something, even if it is just mentor mentee solid friendship, because again, Mara is older clearly than 19 years old, so depending on where we see their relationship go, I say yes, it comes out. But if not, then no, she just goes on about her life thinking that there wasn't a home invasion, even if she doesn't 100% believe that.
Right. She's old enough to know, and she's got a lot of emotions going on at the moment.
For
And that's a
sure.
great point. We have no idea where Mara's story is going and what
Right.
role she's going to play. So that's going to play a big part in this, like you said, Rachel. The other Juke scene, or I guess prominent scene that we get, and
Mhm.
another character who isn't really featured this episode, Marvin.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great scene. Let's go ahead and talk about that, Ray.
Yeah. So Juke walks in on Marvin at home trying to dress his wound. But it's kind of hard to fix your own gash across your back and on your arm. And so Juke comes in and helps him because she does have some basic first aid experience from her
Hmm.
brief stint
Right.
in the armed services. So, Marvin's like, okay, we're gonna slow walk it or we're doing it fast. He like, do it slow. So she rips it off because sometimes you just literally gotta rip off the band-aid, no pun
Hmm.
or pun. Uh
Right. It works both.
so she helps him. And Marvin, this is the first time we see the return of therapy Marvin.
Yep.
Marvin understands, and obviously, I have never taken a life. So, but I've watched enough TV and read enough books and whatever else to know that it is not as easy as just pulling a trigger. If you are someone with any level of conscience, it does weigh on you. We're looking
Hmm.
at Famous and all of that. It does keep you up at night seeing this shit. It's not un- I don't want to say unless you're insane or like a sociopath, you
Yeah,
just have
yeah, yeah.
no feeling about death whatsoever. And so Marvin is trying to talk to Juke about that and saying, you know what? It's not as easy as it looks. This shit can really weigh on you. This shit can really affect you. Honestly, he didn't say it, but look at what this shit has done to Lulu. You know,
Hmm.
as my daughter, I want to ask you, are you okay?
Yeah.
But Juke has taken a page out of the Raquel Thomas book. I'm fine. I'm not affected. I'm cool. Yes, I understand that this is some bullshit, but it was either him or you, and you're my dad, and I'm choosing you every day. And I understand that because
Hmm.
it's either them or it's us, and it's never gonna be us if that's who we're up against. That's the battle. So I appreciated that Marvin was like, I'm scared that this army shit got you a little too comfortable with death. And on her way out, Juke is like, if I'm comfortable, it ain't because of the army. Nigga, you
Hmm.
are the killer.
I'm a bar.
You are the killer. You are the
Hmm.
muscle of this family.
Yeah.
I've grown up hearing the stories. The work that you've put in is literally embedded into my brain and my heart and my energy and my spirit. The same way you didn't think I let some punk bitches beat me up because I'm your daughter. You
Hmm.
know essentially what you raised. So I have to be okay with it one way or the other because the reality is it, like Rock's armor, is how I protect myself. It's how I've stayed some semblance of sane or maintained some semblance of sanity throughout these 19-ish years of life.
Yeah. Once again, very well said. It reminded me that moment. If I'm comfortable with it, it wasn't because
Mhm.
of the army.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating how the parent child relationship, when you're in a life of crime,
Hmm.
it's hard to be a parent.
Yeah.
You can be a concerning person, but it's like give parental advice. It's more so like, yo, I seen you do this. You can't.
Yeah.
It can't be a do as I say, not as I do situation.
Because I needed you to do as I do.
Right. Because I'm comfortable. Like I'm very comfortable with this. And I think that's what probably more the most scary thing about it. If I'm
For
Marvin,
sure. For
like
sure.
how comfortable you are. Like you patching it up. Matter of fact, you said that you looked at it as it was a good thing.
Mhm.
You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
looked at it as we did a good thing.
Mm.
And ain't nothing to talk about. Like, what are we talking? Like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I'm like, damn, Juke. And it Rock telling Kanan, or Kanan telling Rock, you After all you did to me, you thought I was going to college? Like, it's that same type of thing, right? Where
Absolutely.
I don't think as Rock and Marvin, his parents, are even realizing the world that you raised us up in. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that, and we can say it now, even though we don't have kids, we know people with kids, and you
For
to be
sure.
around kids, and you realize how observant kids are to things, how
For
quickly they
sure.
pick up on things,
Mm-hmm.
even if you don't talk about it in a certain way. Um, so yeah, of course, I'm gonna be this way. Like, I've seen all types of shit. Like, my
Mm-hmm.
mom got killed by
Yes.
gunfire. This is a crazy ass family. This is what it
Yeah.
is.
I didn't think, I'm sorry, I don't mean to
No, go
cut you
ahead.
off, but I immediately thought about when you brought us back to that, Kanan saying, did you really think I was going to college? I immediately thought about Ghost and Tariq,
Mm-hmm.
because Ghost, who I'm assuming, or not really, we knew his father owned like that jazz club or something. He did not grow up in the life, despite whenever we see him meet Kanan
Mm-hmm.
and take that on. But he parented Tariq and Raina and the other one.
Yasmin, shout out to Yasmin,
Yasmin.
man. The forgotten,
Yasmin.
the forgotten St. Patrick child.
Very different than what we see Rock and Marvin essentially doing with Juke and Kanan. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Even though Rock wanted them not in the life, wanted them as far away as possible, they still spoke very openly about what they did in front of Juke and Rock. I mean, Kanan and Juke. Kanan and Juke very much knew exactly the business that their parents were in, whereas Tariq and them really just thought James had the nightclub. They didn't know until we meet Kanan. Well, Raina never knew for real, but
Mm-hmm.
Tariq never knew who exactly Ghost was until he meets Kanan. Whereas Kanan always had the knowledge of who his mother was, and the same with
Mm-hmm.
Juke.
Yeah, his mother, we talked about it. Brock is actively trying to get Kanan in the business.
Right.
He looks at that like no different than another family business, right? We own a grocery store
Mhm.
together, right?
Mhm.
I'm gonna run it, and then I'm gonna raise you to run it after I'm done. So it's the same thing, except for it's a drug trade, which is insane. But
Yeah.
like you said, Kanan has no reason. There's nothing about it. As like I said, if you watch Original Power, there's nothing about Kanan's character that doesn't make sense once you
Mhm.
see the way he was raised.
For sure.
So
For
you're absolutely
sure.
right.
And while we stay on Marvin, do you want to talk about Joyce?
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about Joyce because I'll go ahead and just set it up for you.
Mhm.
Joyce
Is a
has
horrible
fallen.
person. Mhm.
Absolute horrible person. Oh, that's the conversation I want to throw the oop to you for. So Kanan gets a page, knows his grandma. Joyce is falling. We realize Joyce is at the point where I don't want to be here anymore.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
which unfortunately and sadly, some people are so sick that it reaches that point where I do not want to be here anymore. There's nothing this fall could have done that's worse than the cancer that's inside of me. I'm in pain everywhere. I'm
Mhm.
not paying for no ambulance. Like, just let me be. Just subtle ways of saying, just let me be. Like, you know what I mean? So Lou shows up to the hospital. We find out she needs round the care attention, round the clock care, excuse
Yeah.
me. And then Marvin shows up and she's talking to Marvin and she's sweet talking Marvin. You know, not only sweet talking Marvin, Rachel, pitting Rock against Marvin in the same
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
Like, I know your sister probably made you believe that you were, I forget the word she said. It wasn't timid, but along those lines.
Weak,
Shaky.
shaky. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And he said, I've never seen myself that way. And she gets into the whole diatribe of, yeah, you know, if I take too much of this, I can take a sleep. I can go to sleep. Come on, Marvin. You know what I'm talking about. Help me out. You my oldest son. I'm your mother. We're supposed to look out for each other. Rachel, Joyce asked her oldest child to kill her. What are your
Crazy.
thoughts on that? What are your thoughts?
Last week, we waxed poetic about Rock and Joyce's relationship. This this conversation that Joyce and Marvin are having, I think gives even more light and, dare I say, credence to Rock's attitude towards her mother, their mother. we learned last week, and maybe previously, maybe had an inkling that maybe she wasn't the best mother.
Mm-hmm.
We learned last week she ain't give a fuck about them kids, especially after Elijah unalived himself.
Yeah.
Now here we are, and Joyce is feeding Marvin, trying to manipulate Marvin against Rock. One would believe that this is not the first time that that has happened, where I am trying to speak to you against your sister, who is,
Of course.
by all intents and purposes, the stronger force, the one
Mm-hmm.
that I can't buck up against. You mothers and sons, we talked about the friction between mothers and daughters, but the bond between a mother and son and your oldest baby boy, your first child, I can speak to you, which is what she was trying to do when she was sweet talking him, essentially. I can
Mm-hmm.
speak to you, and I have your ear and your heart in a way that I don't have for the other kids. And by the time Lulu got here, I was so checked out of the bullshit that I really can't do too much with him, anyways. We saw at the hospital, Lou was like, let me at least go get my credit for being here.
Yeah.
It's nothing I can do. I damn sure ain't no nurse. Y'all crazy as hell for even looking for me to do that, but whatever. We don't see a conversation between Lou and Joyce.
What's there to
All
talk
we,
about?
all we know is that he went to go show his face, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But Marvin, the oldest, the first baby, the firstborn,
Mm-hmm.
goes in because no matter how much has happened, you're still my mother, and I'm coming in here to see about you as best as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not even really happy to see me, you know?
Right.
Instead, you know I'm a killer. You know I'm the muscle behind the operation. And so you asked me to essentially help you commit assisted
Yeah.
suicide.
Yeah.
That's crazy as fuck. That is such a major ask. And we learned that Joyce has bought some morphine off of one of the nurses. One thing about a scammer, they gon' fucking scam like goddamn. Even back then, the nurses was
Mm-hmm.
selling morphine and selling drugs, but a hustler is a hustler. So clearly, the kids
Yeah.
getting honest from mama and daddy. Um, it was very sad. And Marvin really toyed with the idea. So I think one of the central themes for this episode surrounding Marvin is death. And I hope that we're not getting a foreshadowing of Marvin's death. We said it either last week or the week before that I would be very surprised if Marvin sees next season due
Mm-hmm.
to the early of it all in the business with Stefano. In this episode, we see Marvin have a discussion with Juke about death and not necessarily the finality of it, but what killing someone takes and what that can potentially do to you. We see Marvin threaten to kill um
Who's
Terry's brother.
Terry?
Well, we see him kill
Oh,
Terry,
Danny.
Danny,
Is it Danny? Yeah.
something like that. So there's a threat there. Let me remind you, we see Marvin kill Terry this episode. And now here I am wrought with the idea of deciding whether or not I'm going to kill my mother.
Mm-hmm. Insane ask.
I understand why these kids are fucked up. Even
It
though
all
they
makes
don't
sense.
have adults, they are fucked up. And we see Marvin wrestle with it. You know, I think that he had reconciled in his mind that he would do it, not because of the shit she was saying about he and Rock's relationship, but because you're my mother. And no matter how horrible you were, the reality is that I don't want you to be down here suffering. I don't want you to be in pain. Like, I don't have to fuck with you, but no, I don't want you falling in the house by yourself, withered up, dying from cancer. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
he went back and forth. He gets back to the house. They found a caretaker to take care of her. He goes in, he has the morphine, he has the needle, and he just can't do it.
Understandably so.
And understandably so, because that is an impossible ask. I watch enough medical dramas to know even it is such a struggle for actual doctors and healthcare professionals to pull the plug or take off, turn the machines off, this, that, and the third. But to actually expedite
Hmm.
your departure up out of here
Yeah.
is something totally different. And so we watch Marvin struggle with that ask. And finally, he's like, you know what? I can't. I can't.
And the saddest part is the invective that
Mhm.
was brought to Marvin. Yeah, I've been using my word of the day shit. I'm on my Ray P. So,
Period.
yeah, you know what I mean? Those words just
Mhm.
insulting, trying to cut deep. Sorry,
Mhm.
Marvin. Marvin, sorry.
Marvin,
Um,
sorry.
but
Pause.
how dare you? When
How
you asked me to kill you, you thought that was gonna be easy? Go ahead,
come
Rachel.
on. How fucking dare you? And this is how we know that Joyce is fucking evil. At first, she's barely speaking over a whisper. Over a
Mhm.
whisper. She doesn't have the strength to use the full power of her voice. But you are so evil and wrought with anger and disappointment and frustration at Marvin that the more you say Marvin sorry, the louder your voice gets, the more emboldened you are. Like this bitch is nuts.
Yeah.
And the streets need another body. I don't
So
got to do something about fucking Joyce.
so let me ask, 'cause this is I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
Mhm.
All right. Rachel always says the devil doesn't need any more advocates.
And
However,
no.
I'm sure there is a crowd that is saying, well, is it a good deed to help someone you love who is suffering and is doing nothing but suffering? Is it a good deed to help them expedite that process?
Um,
Difficult yet understandable. There's somebody out there saying that maybe they can understand that Marvin should do it. What are your thoughts on that?
well, it is a thing. Assisted suicide.
You ever
Like,
seen that? Did you ever see that episode of the Carmichael Show? Did you watch the Carmichael Show?
no.
Okay. This is before we found out he was full on weirdo. But
Yeah.
there's an episode similar to this. Marla Gibbs was actually the mom, and same thing. She wanted to take pills
Okay.
and her
Yeah,
life. But go ahead.
that is a thing. I don't know that it's legal in the States, but I know in Europe, in Canada, and some of the other developed nations that that is a thing that you can quote unquote do. You have to take your pills within a certain amount of time, this and the third. Ironically enough, Melissa Ford was just talking about this on Joe Budden's
Changing the
podcast. Yeah. Um, if you've watched somebody with cancer uh suffer, then you understand Joyce's desperation. I don't know that I am quote unquote against it, but I don't know that I'm for it either. But I just understand how you could get to that place of no longer wanting to be here.
I think it's the definition of a case by case scenario,
For
right? You
sure.
know what I mean?
For sure.
Definition. And
Now,
one could argue that Marvin doesn't care enough about his mom to do it.
no, that's not the case. That's not the case. Marvin loves his mother, despite her being a ridiculous ass bitch. Sorry. He loves her mother. He loves his mother. Now, what Joyce says should the one who would have done it is Rock.
That's a
How so?
fact.
She would have done it but maybe
I
not with
don't.
the care.
I don't think. I was just gonna say. I think there's a piece of Rock that would feel as much as she will. I don't want to say that. That sounds really harsh.
Mhm.
Because Rock is hurt through it all.
For sure.
As she mentioned last episode, you want forgiveness, and I can't give that
I
to you.
can't give you that.
I feel like there's a part of Rock that will feel like I'm not going to help you. I feel like this is helping you, and I
Yeah.
don't want to do that. Like
uh,
I don't want to. I don't want you to have that satisfaction that I did
mhm.
something for
You
you,
don't get an
even if
easy out.
even if it means that you meet your demise. Yes, you should
Mhm.
sit here and suffer the same way we suffered.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, she's just gonna have to figure it out.
She gonna have to grin and bear it. We shout out to Marvin. We talked a little bit about Marvin and Rock pressing Danny, and then which leads to Marvin actually killing Terry because Terry is sick of the shit. We learned that the shipments ain't going out. They've already been hit, but what little product is left is not reaching the desired markets
Mhm.
essentially. And so they go to check shop, and Danny is essentially like, look, it's slow for y'all. Terry is scared. I was a little surprised at Danny's demeanor in that meeting because up to this point, he was very much okay with the amount of money that the Thomases were bringing in, despite all the death. So I was surprised to see him so nonchalant when Rock and Marvin pressed him. I
Yeah.
was not surprised for real, at Terry's bravado, only because we've seen him even last week essentially let the Thomases know that he was done with the shit. I
Hmm.
might have been scared before, but like, fuck it. There's too much death around y'all, and I don't want to play like that. I don't play like that. He says, what? Show the pictures to my wife. I've never been divorced before either. I don't care. I want out of business with you and your cricket crazy ass sister.
Yeah.
And Marvin, again, despite Rock telling him don't let it go too far, you've put down another body. You killed Terry.
Becoming like you said, Rachel, it's becoming a trend.
It's becoming a trend. Marvin taking shit too far without the instruction of the person who's actually calling the shots.
Not only that, Rachel, both times specifically was told
Hmm.
we're not taking it all the way there.
Yeah.
A direct order.
A
We're not
direct.
taking it all the way there.
Hmm.
It's one thing to say somebody to tell someone to rough someone up. It's another thing to tell them that and specifically stay,
Yeah.
but you got to keep them alive, which is basically what they told him. And Marvin failed on both occasions.
Poor Marvin. What do you think comes of this?
I think Danny gets leaned on a lot tougher. I
Hmm.
think because Danny's been not only is he money hungry
Hmm.
and enjoying the influx of cash, he's also scary.
Yeah.
Whereas Marvin told Rock, I don't think this picture gonna really do anything with him. I think
Hmm.
he stands up. He mentioned what you just said, Rachel. He said this last week at the warehouse, like, bro,
Hmm.
y'all not. I'm not scared of y'all.
Yeah. And
Sure,
Terry threatened to go to the police.
I was gonna say that's exactly what I was about to say. Sure, you threatened to go to the police, and I believe you when you say it. So you kind of got to get dropped. I think it
Yeah.
can be. I think a pass can be made. I think the
Hmm.
play is once again just like he did with early. I made the mess. Now I got to clean it up. Now I got to
Hmm.
really lean on Danny to make sure he's in line to make sure he can keep this shit running. Otherwise, you're gonna end up looking at your mom face to face, as Rock said. And we already killed your brother, just to remind you. So we
Yeah.
serious about this shit, bro. So stop playing. And I think if they break him off a little bit of bread, keep this shit moving, I don't think anything's gonna happen. I think there's gonna be a conversation between Rock and Marvin.
Hmm.
Obviously, like I don't think she's gonna take it as lightly. We didn't see it between Marvin and Stefano. Maybe
Hmm.
because they're saving it between Marvin and Rock. We'll see.
Or Rock and Stefano.
Yeah, because that's got to come to a head. I think we're probably 2 or 3 episodes. We're probably 3 episodes away from that happening. There's That's not going to go away anytime soon. Because right
Mm-hmm.
now we're in the famous of it all. I think the
Yeah.
next episode or two is going to be focused around that. But towards the end of the season is going to come to a head with this whole Marvin. Damn it, Rachel. Fuck, you might be right. I know we had, I think that was season 2 or the end of season 1. I know we had our Marvin scare in the projects when he got shot up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you were a believer that season 5 is probably going to be the last season,
Mm-hmm.
then it makes sense. I don't know. Shit. All right, where you want to go, Rachel?
Let's go to
You,
Rock. That feels like a natural
you
transition.
want to you want to go to Rock, or you want to? All right, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead.
Um, so we already discussed Rock telling Marvin, not to press Terry, but not too hard. I think the more important scene for me with Rock is when she finally does go sit down with Quan.
Mm-hmm.
Quan tells Rock that she's short, and she says, "For what?" Oh, he says the amount we agreed upon. It's like I ain't agree on shit. I appreciate Rock ain't no hoe. Like you're not gonna. She's not bitching up on you. I don't give a fuck. You're the distro. Even though you are the bird in the hand, I don't really have this one in the bush yet. But I don't like how you've been playing on my top up to this point. And so she straight up asked Quan, like, what have I done to you? You just fucking with me or what? I thought it was very interesting that Quan says, essentially, I miss Unique. Unique was my guy. He was a man of his word, this, that, and the third. And Rock is looking at him like, nigga, what?
Hey.
You fucking with me because you miss Neek? Like, this shit is crazy. I didn't kill this nigga.
This some bitch shit.
This is some bitch shit. And I appreciate that because I do think Quan is a bitch. You riding Rock is for the most part. She might have Marvin with her, but she rolls dolo. Every time we see Quan, he got 17 people around him as protection, which side eye, because you're moving too loud for real, when you're moving like that. But I thought it very interesting because I didn't think that Quan and Unique really had that much of a relationship. We knew that he had met with Stefano. We knew that relationship was there, but I don't think I realized that he and Unique had gotten so close in their meetings.
I think it was deeper than whatever Quan was saying. And obviously the unique part of it was that, but I think he also saw Rock as a threat. He knows Rock. Remember, he said even though Unique lacked in vision, Quan, going back to some bitch shit, bitch as being a sucker, not anything else. He wants, there's nothing more he would love to see or be around than somebody who doesn't threaten his position.
For sure.
You know what I mean? You don't have a vision other than this street shit. So I'll never have to worry about you wanting to do what Rock wants to do, which is replace you as the supplier. Not saying that he knows anything about that, but I know that it wouldn't be a shock if it were to happen because you are that type of person. So the idea of having to work with you, when who knows what type of shady shit you're doing, the way you move, the way you sit on your hands, when your people go down, the way you move in real quick with no emotion after Unique goes away, indicating once again, as you said, Rachel, that I think you killed him. And also you're taking advantage of this. I can be the next Unique. So I don't fuck with you because of all of this. And I love, from an acting perspective, this was my favorite scene of the episode because Rock, as we always know, and I've said this before, my favorite is that I don't give a fuck, Rock. Like, you're not about to make me do whatever. And I'm not about to like make myself smaller because you in this room with, once again, 18, 17 niggas, right? Give a fuck about none of that. She set the tone. I don't really give a fuck why you don't like me, but I want to know just out of curiosity because you want some sucker shit, right? Well, since you miss Neek and his feelings and shit, like since you all in your feelings about that, missing Neek. And she said this earlier in the episode too, Rachel, and she kind of doubled back here. There was a scene early in the episode when she was talking to Marvin. She said, that's exactly why I ain't got no ring on my finger, Marvin, because niggas don't listen. And she kind of comes back like, you looking for a man of the word. I'm just looking for a man.
Yeah.
So I know this is about to end, and I know I have something else in play. I'm gonna go ahead and make that happen. But yeah, Quan is sucker. And
Quan is
that was
such,
gonna end that way anyway.
and you know what? Shout out to Symphony.
That was Symphony, man.
Shout out to Symphony, a real man doing real things. Who we tried to get a soft girl rock, but it didn't quite happen.
Yeah.
Do you think that Stefano has told Quan that Rock is looking to be her own distro?
No, I
Okay.
don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think she did that. I think that Quan just on that. I think it's a coincidence of it. There's all you know how it is, Rachel. There's only a certain point where two people can coexist.
Okay.
Like we can make this work for the greater good for a short period of time, but long term, this is not going to work.
Okay.
And that's just what it is. I think Quan went into it with bad faith. He never wanted to work with Rock in the first place. And when it works like that,
Fair.
unless you're doing a buddy comedy and you find the odd couple that end up being friends, that was never gonna happen with them. And Rock just let them know how she feels. She even said she's looking for a nigga with heart, and that ain't you.
What did you think of Quan revealing to Rock that he met with Kanan?
Now that is the most interesting part of this entire scene.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is gonna cut deep, so let me just throw it out there. If Quan was a real nigga, like a real savvy person, he
Mm-hmm.
would have kept that close to the vest.
For sure.
Empires crumble from within. We all
Mm-hmm.
know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It always happens, never from the outside. So I'm gonna go ahead and just keep feeding Kanan information and let you find out on your own terms. Now you know, like people keep giving Rock the information without knowing they're giving the information. So now
Yeah.
that's gonna be something that I can't wait until next week.
Mm-hmm.
Which who knows if it's gonna be delayed because we know that Kanan's gonna be on the edge looking for whoever did this to Famous, but.
Mm-hmm.
That conversation is going to be had between Rock and Kanan, and I'm looking forward to it because are they? And this is something I'm trying to figure out. Are they ever going to be? I don't know. Would you call them civil right now? Are they civil?
Rock and Kanan?
Yeah. Like, what would you call that relationship?
Civil?
They're civil.
Yeah.
That's probably civil. That's the minute. That's it though, right? There's nothing past that.
No.
Are they going to get back to a good space?
Eventually.
You think?
I need to know. Empowered. There's no mention.
Oh, Marvin. If Marvin does go, that's going to be it. That's the reason.
Yeah.
But go ahead. My bad. You said something about Empower, the original Power.
Yeah, Empower. There's no mention of Raquel, Marvin, or Lou.
None at all.
Excuse me.
None at all.
Are they alive?
Oh, I went into this thinking that they aren't alive. Lou might be alive. He might be the only one alive. And separate himself from the family because he kind of seems that part. But I wholeheartedly, maybe midway through season 1, immediately started thinking, "Where's Rock? Rock is gone." Would not surprise me. Would not surprise me at all if Kanan kills Rock.
Okay.
Would not surprise me at all. Like if that's how this all ends, then it wouldn't shock me.
Whew. Okay. Very interesting. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat.
Since we're speaking of Kanan predictions,
Mm-hmm.
I was checking my messages real quick. Mo was texting me about another project we were doing, and I told him, I'll hit you back once I'm finished recording. He said, "Oh, since you're recording Raising Kanan," he said there have been some people who have said that the kid who found Famous might be
Ghosts.
Yes. Have you heard this? Have you seen this at all? What are your thoughts on that? If you have any?
I haven't seen or heard that.
Like that's the show's way to introduce ghosts. Because it would make sense from the sense of, well, let me say this. It's not uncommon for a show to use ancillary random characters to reveal something else.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also not uncommon for our introduction to someone to be this random ancillary event. So it could be both ways. I don't put too much stock into it, but
I
interesting
just
question.
I don't know what would be the next vehicle to see this person ever again.
I'm sure. Let's talk. Let's wait. There's something interesting about the whole famous thing that I want to ask you about. Maybe I'm overthinking it or not. So we'll
Okay.
just wait until we get there a little bit. Um, I know we just talked about. We're finished talking about Rock in that sense. Or is there something else that you wanted to talk about with her?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
she
the
knows
plug. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah, the plug.
Hafiz.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hafiz said the next time I'll reach out to you. But Rock can't wait, especially now. Quan has ended his business with Rock after she eventually calls him a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to know now, and there's a new sense of urgency for us to either make this deal work or for me to have to go back to the drawing board and find yet another person to plug my business. Rock is not scary, and she's always thinking, I think that is one good thing that Quan said is that she doesn't lack vision. She can figure it the fuck out. And so Hafiz says, we're going to do this. I need to know what all you have going on because there is potential for war and turf battles and this, that, and the third in Queens that we ain't really dealing with where I'm at. And I
Mm-hmm.
understand that battles for land. What did he say? There's no bloodier battle than those for land, essentially.
Yep.
And that is what a turf war is. So we see that. We see Rock making moves in that way. So she's gonna set that meeting up. And I think this episode, and we've referenced power so many times, so I don't really want to keep doing it, but I think this episode in particular sets us up so well for what we know of the characters in power.
Yeah.
Um, Aside from that, we called it about Panessa running up on Rock about the money again.
Yeah. Yeah. That was you. That was you once again.
Hey, here we are. And so Panessa, she knows where Rock lives. It's not her first time pulling up on Rock. And so,
Yeah, they definitely had their
woman to woman, I'm
yeah,
coming
this is
to
sure they definitely had their Shirley, this is Barbara moment.
Barbara, this is Shirley.
Barbara, excuse me, Barbara, this is Shirley.
but for sure. And so she says, you feel guilty because you killed Neek. Bitch, you know I didn't kill him. We've already been through this. But
Mhm.
again, I've been getting it for months. Maybe I was a little unsure, except for last week when they mentioned that it had been essentially 3 months since Famous had been seen. But I was wondering the timeline of Unique resurrecting essentially and all of the coordinated hits on the Thomas Empire. So Panessa confirms that she's been getting this money for months. And I wonder what took her, quote unquote, so long to come to Rock about it. And do you really? I believed last season when she confronted her that she believed that Rock did not kill Unique.
Mhm.
But now here I am getting all of this money continually. Where the
Mhm.
fuck is it coming from? I think that Rock's idea of maybe somebody is looking out for him would make sense if there was any other protections for Panessa in place. If
Mhm.
there had been any inkling that there was a contingency plan, like if something happened to me, putting Nessa up in Harlem. You know what I'm saying? Like it, but there was
Yeah.
nothing. She's back at her mother's house, toting around a grocery cart. It would be different if there was some help for her. And so now I have to retrace my steps and think in my mind of who has this access to this type of cash and would give it to me and my son. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say there was a moment throughout this episode when Unique dropped the money out. There was a moment when I thought Pernessa was going to open the door.
Mm-hmm.
To see that it was Unique. I really thought that. I've come to the conclusion that Pernessa knows it's Unique, but can't find herself to actually believe it.
Okay.
And she's going. Sometimes when you believe something so much, you think it's true.
Mm-hmm.
To your point, Rachel, she doesn't. She knows Rock didn't kill Unique. But it's easier for Rock to believe that Rock killed him versus believing that Unique's not really dead. And if you've seen the previews for next week,
I haven't.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the Unique is back out in the open. We don't know in what capacity, but he's been doing that, right?
Right.
It's almost been leading. He's been showing every episode pretty much. He's been showing his face to a new person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost had to come to a head. Last week we said this was going to be the week.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's going to be next week where I don't know if Rock and the Thomas family is going to find out that he's alive, but pretty much everybody else is going to know Nika's around.
That Nika's alive.
From what it looks like from the preview.
Okay. Because he did reveal himself to Quan this week.
Yeah, exactly. So there's only a few more people that you got to reveal yourself. Quan can't. People are going to start talking you back. And it sounds like he's ready to kind of show people that he's back in there. And maybe that's where everything comes to a head. But I just think Pernessa thinks, I thought you've been dead for 3 months. And it matches up, right? Because Famous's mom goes to the police and says, you told me to come back after this time. And we find out it's been 3 months since Famous has been missing.
Yeah.
Where it sounds like maybe the same month. She's been getting this money for months. Maybe the same with Unique. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think that Pernessa knows. I think there is a connection that people have when they've been together for so long.
For sure.
And Unique's the only person that would consistently. Yeah, she might get an envelope here and there. But at this rate, only Unique cares about us that much to make sure we good like this. Right. Like this is some bread.
Right.
And Rock don't give. I don't give a Rock. I'm surprised Rock said, I don't give a fuck about you or your son.
That part.
Fuck y'all niggas.
That part.
Like, enough to feel guilty? Like, nah, fuck that.
Not at all. Not at all. Do you want to get to Unique since we're
let's go ahead and talk about Unique. Let's go ahead and talk about Unique.
So we see him giving money to Pernessa, obviously. But the most important thing, or one of the most important things, we talked about him revealing himself to Quan. This is after OC, who I told y'all was only spared because Unique Unique is in his pocket, or vice versa, however the phrasing goes.
Now you had it right. OC's in Unique's pocket. You called that shit too.
My question to you though is, did he spare his life only in that instant, or is OC one in this episode? Maybe I gotta think what age, but he looks much older in this episode than in the previous episodes this season. When I was looking at him, he looks a little bit older.
I'm imagining he's around Kanan's age.
Right. Is he like Unique's cousin or something? Is he
OC?
a plant? Yeah.
No, I think OC is. I think when Unique busts in to rob Kanan, he found someone there, someone that I know ain't about this life. I could easily use for information and or money. Okay. And I think that's the only purpose. You a smart dude. You don't want no problems. Maybe it's easier to keep you alive and I scare the shit out of you. And anytime I need to know something about Kanan or what he has going on, I can get that info from you. Because when we first see him dancing around the subject of money, I thought he was saying it in the sense of, I need extra money so I can pay Unique off. And I think Unique is more concerned about, niggas, tell me about what's going on. Now I know you skimming off the top. That's another thing we didn't really talk about with Kanan, but what is this money for? Like, what are you skimming off the top for, and why are you keeping it in this warehouse? Do you have a big plan for this?
I think that Kanan is doing two things with the skim. Making sure that he has some money for not just himself if some shit goes wrong again, but also for snaps and pops. Because
she did
on their cut anymore. I can't miss that. I've already been given whatever amount
That's a
of grace was
great.
going to be allotted to me.
That's a great pull. I forgot that he even said last week, you don't keep reserves. That's a great pull, Rachel.
So I have to keep a reserve. I have to do it somewhere because OC doesn't know. He knows that Kanan is skimming, but he doesn't know where that money is. He doesn't know anything about that. And so my initial thought was what you thought about Kanan sparing his life in the apartment. But then as I watched this episode, I watched OC's body language. We don't know how long they've been meeting up, but long enough now for you to know the car that I'm in. Long enough for me to, in the lowest of keys, be somewhat comfortable. Now, I just had a coughing attack, but it's something. It's something with OC in this sinus drip. And I don't know if it's nerves because he gets it around Kanan a little bit, and now he gets it around Unique. I think that is his tell.
It could be.
I
I
think
can
that
see
is
that.
his blink. You know what I'm saying? My nose starts to run when I'm being dishonest, when I'm lying. This is what it is. And what did I just watch when they said watch for the blink? But whatever that was. This is it. Him and that snotty ass nose and that coughing and carrying on is
I look like a
it's
garbage
both
pail
these
kid.
tell. Yeah, exactly. So he's making sure he has the money. He is feeding Kanan or feeding Unique the business and the gossip essentially between Rock and Kanan. What's going on here? This and the third. I think there's more to that relationship than I just spared your life in this instant. I don't think that was their first meeting.
You could be on to something. I would tell you this though. That's a nigga who won't be in season 5.
Oh,
OC
for
up
sure.
out of here.
Oh, for
OC
sure.
up out of here.
For sure. For sure.
But yeah, I just think he's scary.
Okay.
We also see Unique go see. I don't know if we caught his name, but it's the person that Mrs. Baselli told him to meet with. Did we catch his name in this episode?
Um, I thought I wrote it down. Visits Phil.
Is it Phil?
Phil. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got you. Um, we see Phil and Unique go to him because he wants to get payback on Rock,
For
Scorch
sure.
Earth. Enemy of my enemy is a friend. We find out some interesting information though during this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
One being, and this is the first time it's really been expressed, Phil saying, "This is my first time hearing about something about her looking to kill you."
Yeah.
Which Unique, immediately gets upset. What the fuck would you know about what's going on? Like, you don't get to be where I am without, your ears in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about this exchange and his interaction with Phil to begin with?
I appreciate it. And you remember, this is not our first time seeing Phil.
Right.
If you remember when Unique first becomes an integral part of the story in the whole New Jersey connection, Phil is a part of all of that. And Unique essentially played him to
Mm-hmm.
protect Rock. And so we're learning, or we knew that this relationship is soured. We were unsure last week of who Miss Baselli sent Unique to go meet with, and then we now know that it was Phil. And I like that Phil came back and was like, one thing that I know that she don't know is that Sal wasn't fucking with you like that.
Yep.
So it's not really much I can do. And again, out of my respect for her, I'm not gonna put a bullet in you, but you're not welcome here.
Mm-hmm.
Unique has been a ghost for several months at this point. Phil makes a great point. I have ears everywhere.
Fuck you thought this was.
What the fuck you thought this was? And I thought about, again, the early of it all, who's not in this episode. Did Early say to Unique that I don't think Rock had anything to do with it? I don't think he did.
I don't think he did either. I just remember him his biggest thing was like, yo, if you're gonna be invisible, be invisible. He might
Okay.
have questioned it briefly. Whatever it was the first episode of the season.
Yeah.
But I don't recall anything like that.
I don't either. And so when Phil says this is essentially the first time Unique is hearing from any opposition other than what he's made up in his CTE ass mind has
Mm-hmm.
happened to his life, his business, this and the third. If Rock's only vindication comes from Phil slash Stefano's adversary, that's gonna be fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And is Stefano, he's clearly a bigger fish. He's clearly a bigger boss than Phil because I don't want to say he's afraid of Stefano, but he acknowledges that Stefano is a bigger fish. You know, she
Yeah.
worked with him, and I don't think that was just like a five families respecting. There was not necessarily fear, maybe a little trepidation, but just acknowledgement of the disparities between the two quote unquote bosses.
Yeah, though I know that there's going to be a lot more casualties on my side than there will
Mhm,
be his side if I
mhm.
choose to go to war. That just doesn't sound like a smart decision.
Right.
Not to mention something that Phil said that was very important. Tells Unique, all you got right now is a hard on for revenge and a fucked up attitude. Like,
Yeah.
why would I ever back you with that? Maybe
Yeah.
if you go out there and get someone or build a team. And I think maybe that's what's alluding to. I told you the preview next week.
Mhm.
He has to show himself because he has to build this team, and he has Quan and everyone
Yeah.
else. But I agree with what you just said. I just don't think that he sees any advantage. Phil doesn't see any advantage in backing Unique, or nor do I care. Like, bro,
Yeah.
like you said, we don't fuck with you. The only reason I ain't putting a bullet in your head is because Miss Baselli sent you.
Mhm.
I'm just showing some love and respect to her. I don't know what Unique is going to do or has to do to get back, but I do know there is a meeting next week between Unique and Phil again. I do
Okay.
know that. So we'll
Okay.
see.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about any of that. I too am sick of Unique in this quest for revenge. And maybe it's from having the full picture, but it's pissing me off that for as many people as you've seen, like maybe people didn't know that about Ronnie specifically in Kanan's side deal when this, that, and the third. But for nobody else to be hinting at Rock doing something to you, you have to take that into consideration. And I keep coming back to the veterinarian saying that, he was different. And so maybe his mind is too gone that reason doesn't quite catch up to him. Like it's outrunning him. I don't know.
Yeah, because he mentioned to Phil when he went down the list of the crimes that Rock
Mhm.
has committed against him. She killed my brother. He said that as well, almost even though his brother tried to kill him.
Yeah.
He said it like he believed that Rock planned it.
Mm, mm, mm.
And even if she did, obviously because of the whole kidnapping, it wasn't because of Unique.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he still thinks this is some big conspiracy to take over his business and his
Hmm.
connections. And it
Hmm.
wasn't that. And like you said, we know that as viewers, but he doesn't. That's the only thing that can save Unique. Just from a writing perspective, the only
Hmm.
thing that can keep him alive. I don't even think that's possible. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. He causing too much. Yeah, he killing you, killing the connect. Also, we didn't talk about that because it was a very brief scene in the kitchen
Hmm.
between Marvin and Rock. We got a small mention again about Andre. This is when Marvin finds out Andre's been killed.
Hmm.
They talk about his connections once again. Will one of these connections show themselves, Rachel? Will they reveal themselves to Rock, Marvin, someone like that?
I think
Are
they
we seeing
already
that?
have
Who?
the officers who came to Rock's house. Those two feds. At least one
Hmm.
of them, if not both.
Interesting. Okay. We're gonna keep an eye on that. That keeps getting brought up, and we know he's well connected. They took 2 episodes to tell us
Mhm.
that. I
Yeah.
don't think that's for no reason. So, all right, where do we want to go?
Lulu?
Let's talk about Lou, man. Lou had a good episode. Lou
Lou
got
had
to
a
see
good
some.
episode.
Lou got to see the vinyl collection. Hey,
I came in here and told y'all either this week or next week, Lou and Imani was going. And
yeah, he
clearly,
was he was
time
talent
is of
searching,
the essence.
talent searching in more than one way. Really not a ton for Lou, other
Mhm.
than Lou was good at his job. And you know what? Lou was even better at his job when he has Imani by his side that can help out with finding the ex. I'll bring them to you. I think they're good. You sign off on them. First act, not so much. A little bit Run DMC-ish mixed with a little bit of Public Enemy.
Yeah.
Y'all not really fitting what I mentioned in a couple episodes ago. We should be around 94 right now. Y'all fit more 1990, 91 than you do 94. I'm not really looking for that. Then you see, I don't know if this was Logic.
That's
white rapper.
I initially thought.
I didn't know if that was Logic, whoever it was. White rapper in 1994. Not the most common thing. Yeah, BC Boy, Vanilla Ice, which was made fun of. All right. We can see a lane here. I wouldn't even mention him if it wasn't for it being brought up later on. Him asking about him, and then we hearing that his mom runs his career.
Yeah.
That might be a little bit more difficult. So he is going to come in the fold, and the mom, whoever that is, we'll see how all this works out. It's going to be a part of Lou's storyline. But then they find, man, I had their names written down. My apologies. They find Drawdown Disciples.
Wu-Tang.
Exactly what I thought, Rachel. Exactly what I thought. Wu-Tang, pretty much, with a few less members. And I ain't gonna hold you. I was fucking with it.
I might pull up with it.
I might have to pull up the Raising Kanan soundtrack, which I think is all Partisan Fontaine, actually, who plays B Rilla. I think that's all him.
Okay.
But if not, I want to see if this song is on there because I was fucking with it. And Lou was like, all right, then you can do your thing. And you see Imani's like, yeah, I know. I've been her. Now you can see we work together. Now I can kind of see my end into all of this. Because as I mentioned, there is a scene later where they're at the office when Lou gets the page, come over to see my vinyl collection, and we end up seeing that he does do it. And in true man fashion, not once did he put together that was code for come dick me down.
Period.
This nigga's genuinely in bed with this beautiful naked woman next to him. Yeah, so let me see your vinyl clip. Nigga.
Shout out to Lou.
Yeah, shout out to Lou.
He's been out the game for a long time, man. He was in rehab. He's a little rusty. I will that. Go ahead.
I have one thought, and before you share your thoughts. No B Rilla this episode. I think this is the first time since we met B Rilla there was no episode. You mentioned this last week, Rachel. B Rilla told us when he's by himself,
he gets into trouble.
Imani and Lou look like they're going to be spending some time together, whether it's working or extracurriculars. Just something to keep an eye on. Just something to keep an eye on. Now that you have other acts that you're looking for, B Rilla might not be the number one priority. B Rilla could get himself into some shit.
Mia mentioned the lull of it all last week and keeping the money in the house. Lou also has valuables in the house. Does B Rilla have a key now?
Right.
While you out, wherever you at, while you at Imani's, when you moving through the town, moving through the streets, where is B Rilla? Is he in your home unattended? Does he have access to not just money, but things that maybe he shouldn't have access to? Trouble very much so could be on the horizon for the B Rilla of it all in regards to Lou and the Thomas family.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I don't know if you have anything else to say about Lou itself, or do you want to just get into...
No. Oh, shout out to Rizzy, Rhode Island School of Design or Rikers Island School of Drama. I thought that was a clever little line. That's it. Shout out to Lou. I knew it. That's it.
All right. Well, Rachel.
So,
in memoriam of famous Figueroa.
This is for my homies. See you when we get there. Okay. I would sing it. I don't know if that's a copyright thing, but here we are. Maybe I'll put it on there.
You should be okay. I think we'll be good.
In that gangster fucking lean. So we came in here. I knew that this would be a famous forward episode
Yeah.
because of the promo for the show. We've known Famous was gone after the first episode. They ain't asked where it was Famous none of these other weeks until essentially last week. The promo went out. You
Mm-hmm.
sent it to me on Instagram. Where's Famous? I did comment under We Got Y'all and say that Famous is fucking dead. We know
Yeah.
this. I knew this. But we get Famous's backstory. We learn that Famous, Miss Olga, and Sis were in a home. Looks like a little further out, maybe Staten Island, maybe Long Island. Um, they might still have been in Queens. I don't fucking know. But they're in a home and not in the apartments where we meet Famous. We learn that he's been abused. She's being abused by this stepfather. And finally, Miss Olga gets the courage to leave. So after a fight where Famous is being abused, they rescue him from the stepfather. He goes to the room. Sis says, close the door and lock it. Don't open it till we come back. They come back in the middle of the night, get dressed, pack a bag. Very what's love got to do with it. I'm coming to get you in the middle of the night. Get your shit. Let's get the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
In true kid fashion,
Yeah.
Famous forgets his action figure. It needs to go. Not needs to go back into the house, but because he's a kid, on his own, goes back into the house for it.
Mm-hmm.
On his way out of the room, the stepfather appears at the door and says, "Where the fuck your mom and sister?" Slaps Famous again, and Mom Duke stabs stepdad up. They escape. They make their way to a shelter and begin their life starting over. Now, she made mention that, and this is the only reason that made me recant from being in one of the other boroughs, is because Miss Fig did indicate that Kanan and Sean, aka Famous, had been best friends since
Mm-hmm.
kindergarten. We see them in the shelter. It's not that bad, you know. Famous makes a declaration to always be there to protect his mom. We see Famous back in the apartments. They move forward all these various instances of Famous's life and Miss Olga remembering the joy of her son and this, that, and the third. She goes to Kanan and Juke and
At the
presses
dir-
them. Hmm?
at the direction of Garcia. I just want to add that in
At
there.
the direction of Garcia. You took the words. Because I don't believe she would have asked them otherwise.
You saw a response. That's his best friend since kindergarten. Like, you wouldn't even think that he would do that. What Garcia say? Oldest friends have the deepest scars.
Was Olga wearing a wire for this conversation?
Mm, no, I think she's a distraught mother. I don't think she was.
When Kanan leaves to take the page from Joyce's sick ass, she asked Jukes. She asked Juke, "Where's my son?" With a bit more fervor than we've seen with Kanan.
Yeah.
Um, that to me made me raise an eyebrow just a bit. Yes, I'm a mother that's distraught, but I don't think that that scene reviewing the body is the last we see of Joyce. I mean, Olga.
Oh no, of course not. It's definitely not going to be the last we see of Olga. I'll tell you what raised my eyebrows in that scene.
Mhm.
As I told you earlier, you were in my head. So I'm watching this thinking like, damn, Kanan did this shit. And he really trying to do the whole bishop.
Mhm.
We gonna find whoever did it. What really told it was when he sat next to Olga and said, if somebody did this, we're gonna find them too. We're gonna find Famous, and if somebody did something to him, we're gonna find him too. And there was a look that Juke gave Kanan that really caught my eye. When I was really thinking like, yo, Kanan really did this shit. But that look means something. I don't know what it is, but it means something. And we'll talk about who I think could be responsible for this. And it kind of
So
plays into what you just said.
I have been of the ilk that Kanan did this. And then I think last week I said maybe Tommy did it, and this is where they come in. So shout out to Mo and whomever else thinking that the little boy robbing the liquor store was young Ghost. For me, when Juke looked, for me it said, "You gonna get yourself? What the fuck are we talking about here?" I believe that Juke believes that Kanan did this.
Yeah.
Seeing Kanan weep from his soul, and you can talk about the monologue thereafter. I don't know that Kanan did it. I don't know that Kanan did it. I have two thoughts. I do have two thoughts. One of which is that a Thomas put him down.
Okay.
The other is that we've known throughout these 4 seasons that famous Figueroa. I knew it was an A. Has struggled with drugs. We watched him be a crackhead, essentially. Famous is found after this young boy is robbing this random liquor store out in the alley. We don't know if he was naked, but an exposed forearm.
Very much looked like a smokehouse. I know it's that. Yeah.
Underneath a mattress. While I knew that Famous was dead, I am now playing. I have to think about it. I'm gonna tell y'all next week whether or not where I'm going with it. Famous, in the fear of everything and potentially having to snitch on Kanan and the Thomas operation, returned to a life of drugs and OD'd out there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did he OD by himself? I don't know. How did you get up under the goddamn mattress? I don't know. But if one of them, and this pulls back the Tommy of it all, and also out of in-town shooters, in-town problems. I have that, so I have lots of things going on in my mind. If he OD'd on his own, sucks. But plausible, given we know that he's under a tremendous amount of stress, under the weight of potentially going to jail for a murder he didn't commit, and having to turn on his best friend since kindergarten. We've known that he was talking to the police. If Rock had Marvin and Lou put down D-Wiz, Famous is not going to be fucking exempt. D-Wiz was like a son too. That's Lulu's taking it the hardest. That's Lou's damn near best friend, ain't it? Hello? We already know that Rock has some blind spots when it comes to this motherhood shit.
Shout out to Scrappy. She got some blind spots when it comes to making the right decision.
Right. So there's only so much I can really do. Maybe Tommy, quote unquote, did, maybe not Tommy, but somebody else, in-town shooter, in-town problem. I just have a hard time thinking that if Rock did this, she would leave him in town in this alley exposed like that. I just would think that she, in all her mastermindedness, would have gotten rid of that body better. The same way
Yeah.
D Wiz is holed up in that place. I mean, they eventually made him be found, but the same way they had that body in the walls of the projects in season one, like they know how to dispose of a body. So I'm having a hard time believing that this random alleyway, maybe it's not in Queens. Maybe that's something that we'll find too.
Yeah.
And Famous is just out there. Maybe that wasn't DC. Maybe it was gone. And here he is. I don't know. Definitely something to think about. And I have my eye on that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you just gave a lot of information. So I'm gonna try to break
Sorry,
it
I felt like I
down.
was rambling a little
No,
bit.
no, 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 not in that way. But there's a lot of different theories that I liked all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with the last one you just said. Rock moves cleaner than that.
Mm-hmm.
Whether even if the body was moved somewhere else, it wouldn't be in some random building or
Mm-hmm.
alleyway or something like that. The body would be it'd be done.
Yeah.
It'd be done. That's what takes Rock away. And I just think from a writing perspective, I just don't think Rock's too on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
We've already seen her do it with D Wiz. We've seen her do it with Scrap. We know Rock will take somebody down, or it can go back to what I said earlier about Kanan being the one to take down Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she did do it,
Mm-hmm.
and this can be the straw that breaks the camel's back. I don't think it was Rock though. I just don't. The other theory, which you touched on, was Famous OD.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It makes sense. I said earlier there was something that bothered me about that whole thing, which was that his ID was on his person. Mm-hmm. Another reason why Rock didn't do that. There's no way Rock's leaving Famous's ID on him. If that's the case. However, you put holes in that when you said, how does he get under this mattress? There's just way too much other stuff going on. So the one that I'm landing on that might be a little far-fetched, but it's the only thing that makes sense with all the information I know right now. I think Garcia put Famous down. And I think Garcia left because Garcia is the one that said we found his ID on his person. And if he did, then it does support what you said about is he wearing a wire. Here's one thing we haven't thought about since the first episode of this season, Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't discussed it on here, and I don't know what's across your brain. There was a meeting between the captain and Garcia.
Yes.
About putting this case down.
Yes.
They are secretly investigating Rock, Kanan, everyone else, which is why Garcia even told Olga to go over there and talk to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I can get Kanan in some bullshit if I kill his best friend, or then maybe the after effects of it. It's a slow burn.
Ooh.
And there's a lot of other X factors that need to happen for this to work out how Garcia wants it to work out.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I wouldn't have thought this if it wasn't for that ID. That ID immediately told me this is not a professional. Like, or not. This is somebody who wanted Famous to be found.
Exactly.
Which nobody on the Thomas side would ever want that. Like, that wouldn't make sense for them. And the only other person that I would say that wants Famous to be found is Garcia or the police department to bring heat on that whole family. Far-fetched, maybe, but that's where I'm leaning with towards it right now. I don't think Unique did it because he was still recovering.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. There's nobody else I could see that would want Famous dead. And the only people, I think they obviously want us to point at the Famous family because they're the ones that he would have hurt by talking to the police.
Yeah.
Famous might have, we might get a flashback at scene where, because Olga said he was talking to you. He was telling you things that you wanted to know. Mm-hmm. Maybe during one of these secret meets, Famous is breaking down. Maybe he's on drugs. Mm-hmm. Garcia realizes, oh shit,
I can't use him.
I can't use him anymore. What's the next best thing? He can be a pawn in this big chess game that we're playing.
Fuck.
It doesn't sound as crazy the more I talk about it. I know it might not happen, but I could see it.
I had not at all considered Garcia, but you have made a case. You've made a case for me to consider that. And it would be twisted. Although I don't think it, something won't let me lock the door on it being Kanan.
I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%, Rachel. I really do.
Won't let me lock that door. It's closed. It's ajar, but I can't lock it. And I've been speaking about how immature Kanan is, despite wanting to be in this grown man business and this and the third.
Mm-hmm.
Again, he's 17, 18 years old. That's it. Even if in the heat of all of the investigations and this, that, and the third, if he did have to put Famous down, nobody knows. I'm holding this to my chest like my mother does. I'm very good at hiding my feelings and this, that, and the third. But now it's out there. And when I just have it to myself, it's not real until other people know, until his mom knows, somebody else knows that my best friend is actually dead. They don't need to know whether or not I killed him, but he's gone. And I'm reeling from my best friend being dead. And I'm a child, essentially. So yes, I'm going to cry because my best friend is dead. And maybe I feel a little bit guilty. Like in the hindsight of it all, if it's me or if it's us or y'all, it's going to be us. I still got to protect the home team. But damn, man, I miss my homie. Man, I miss my dog.
What's the 411? Kanan is a child.
Mm-hmm.
So it is believable that he could have accidentally left the ID on him. The look that Juke gave him, that leans into the whole Kanan did it.
Mm-hmm.
The cry at the end. We mentioned earlier about Kanan's reaction.
Yeah.
I can't remember his reaction when he found out D-Wiz died,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't remember it being like this.
Yeah. Well, D-Wiz was his best friend.
Yeah, you're right, because you only get one of those.
Yeah.
As 50 said, or Kanan said, a grown Kanan. I'm mourning this, and you just said a very good point. It's different when people know. Now it's real.
Mm-hmm.
Mentally and emotionally, I've had to take myself to such a place that I can't even acknowledge. I can't even mourn Famous, because Famous, I'm not supposed to know that Famous is dead if I did it.
Right.
And now, since it's known, it might be my first time properly being able to let these emotions out, which I said at the beginning of this episode. We've never seen Kanan respond that way.
Right.
It's like the only spot outside of his family where he has some kind of emotion. We know from the original Power, Kanan names his son Sean.
Yeah. I don't know how. Okay.
All of that might be guilt because he had to put his best friend down, not because he wanted to. This is Nino on the rooftop.
And Kanan killed Sean. God damn it. God damn it, man. God damn it. I said god damn it. Oh shit.
Shit comes full circle,
History
man.
repeating itself, and I don't care about killing you, Sean, because I already done killed the Sean that I gave a fuck about.
Mm-hmm.
My lord.
I'll tell you this, man. If we write about this shit, man, this is not general cupcake, review of television. These are deep theories that we give thought to. And really want to see what's going on. We are putting ourselves in Southside Jamaica, Queens right now. Rachel?
I've never been to Jamaica, Queens. Okay.
Yeah,
I've never been to Queens. I've only been to Brooklyn, Harlem, and Manhattan.
Yeah.
Oh, and Long Island.
What the fuck is you doing in Long Island?
Work.
Okay.
Where Manhattan's it, wherever the fuck that is. I think that's Long Island-ish.
But I like it, Rachel. I like what we discussed.
I like that a lot. Fuck. I really I don't know how all this time I didn't think about Sean
Mm-hmm.
and the famous of it all. You totally just blew my mind with that. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think we covered everything.
I think we got everything. Y'all tap in. Let us
Please let us
know
know.
your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Email us at we got y'all podcast at gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at we got y'all pod. Hit us in the chat. Hit us over on Culture Garden. Kieron just made a major milestone with the Good Earners podcast.
Shout out
As
to
that
you.
has come to an end, I know Mo and Spike have some other things in the tuck, so I'm sure that we'll be hearing from them very soon. So while that chapter is closed, there's um
Yeah,
another
fall.
week in the books.
We take niggas are taking time off. Niggas,
Oh,
it won't
okay.
be
Well, they
till
on
fall. I
a
will say that. We are going to maybe within a month or so we'll reveal what the next TV show
pause.
is, but there will be a break. That
Okay.
shit 2 years damn near. So yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So shout out to them. Congratulations, guys, on
Thank you.
finishing that and all of your success with the show. If you are a Sopranos fan, go back and listen to all of those episodes. Rewatch the series. Um, Another week in the books is still going on, guys.
Yeah.
Spike and Kieron and Portia.
Portia got a segment once a month. Once a month.
Oh, they're doing their things over there. Follow Another Week in the Books. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Of course, we've got the Culture Garden. Foot's on the gas over there too. Rich and Spike just released I Spy this week. Follow us
School.
over Rich and School, my bad school. Just did I Spy. And we've got more coming. We've got a lot going on, guys. We thank you for joining and being a part of this community.
Yeah.
We look forward to our growth. We look forward to hearing from you. Y'all have a great weekend. Keep your head on the swivel. And don't get to know you. Kyron.
Well, I would love for it to be ending like that, but I can't. I just said this on the last Culture Garden episode when it was just me in school.
Mm-hmm.
I gave Rachel a big shout out just for holding it down over here. We got y'all. All the incredible things that's going on over here.
Thank
I
you.
said on the episode of Culture Garden that this Raising Kanan discussion is some of the best work that we've done over here, and we've done humbly a lot of good work. We've had a lot of great conversations about a lot of different shows, and this is honestly shout out to the whole team over there, Sasha Penn, everybody, because we're only 5 episodes in. I'm expecting these next 5 to go to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
But more importantly, just being able to share space with Ray P, pick her brain, hear her thoughts, make her, like I said, I'm watching television with her in my mind because she's making me look at things differently. And that just goes to show how much she knows, how much she's tapped in, and how much she really cares about this whole medium of television and able to pour it in this art form of discussion. And I wouldn't rather do it with anyone else. And I really am excited about this conversation we just ended this episode with about who could have done this. Because my antennas are going to be up and I'm looking forward to all of it. But show some love. Make sure y'all tap in with the GOAT, Ray P. Really finding her groove with this We Got Y'all whole thing, man. So shout out to you, Rachel, man. Love you.
I love
Appreciate y'all. And as always, we got y'all.
Peace.
We out.